Before we kick off the first episode of the first ever podcast I've ever done in my entire life, special shout-outs go out to Shure Microphones, a brand I've been using my entire career with H2O, 25 years, also with my motivational speaking for One Life, One Chance. Thank you, Shure Microphones, for being the first company to step up with microphones and headphones and all of the above. I really, really appreciate your support. Secondly, a brother from another mother, my man, Jamie Josta from Hatebreed. Ever since I mentioned I wanted to do a podcast, since I've been on his several times, he's been pushing me and being very supportive of me doing this. He actually surprised me and sent me a Focusrite in the mail, which is the thing I use to actually record these. So thank you so much, Jamie Joster. I love you and appreciate you. Trevor Simsler, a friend of over 25 years, almost a year ago hit me up. He's like, yo, man, when are you going to have a podcast? You need a podcast. Trevor, thanks so much for putting that in my ear. I really, really appreciate that. And now, live and direct from the NC, from the NYC, half man, half amazing, Joey Vasion. You guys know Joe Vasion. Joey D, the J to the O to the E to the D. My man, Joe D, and I'm Veggie T. No meat for me, I stay drug-free. Joey D in the NC, chilling with my man, Bismarck. My man, Joey D. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it, bro. And my man, Demian Arigaga. Yo, Demian, straight up, I'm just going to call you D.A. because I can't see, it's Demian or Damian Aragaga. So the D.A., my man from Venezuela, thank you for all your time and all your effort to help me with this podcast, man. Really, really helped me with all the production side of things. Joey V from my editing side of things. Joey V from Queens. You know Joey V. Joey Vage. J to the O to the E to the V to the A to the I to the S to the I-O. And I can't spell his last name, Joey DeCina. Have you seen her? Baby, have you seen her? I'll kick my freestyle off short and sweet. My name is Veggie T and I don't fuck with no meat. I'm about to set it off in my first podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, a blast from the past. It's my M to the O to the MMA. My mom, Linda Morse from Taunton, Mass. Yay. One life, one chance, gotta do it right. One life, one chance, gotta do it right. One life, one chance, gotta do it right. Gotta do it right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This first episode, it's special. I'm starting from the beginning. I'm starting from my roots. This woman has known me my entire life longer than anybody else. This woman has busted her ass to keep us warm, keep us fed, keep roofs over our heads, raised 3 boys on her own, moved from house to house in the fucking blizzards of 78. Oh my God, the blizzard of 78. The East Coast winters. My mom's been struggling since I was 3. This woman is strong, honest, sensitive like her 3 sons, and real as fuck. This woman taught me and my 2 brothers to be kind and not see color. This woman has raised us right and the best she could for what she had. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother, Linda Morse.
Hey, Toby, who would have thunk we'd ever be here, huh?
I know, this is amazing. So, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to my mom about on this podcast, and
you should have talked to me about it before this.
No, it's fine. It's you don't have to answer the question when I answer questions, but first and foremost, I was born in Taunton, Massachusetts. I was born at Morton Hospital. I was born in 1970. Both my brothers are same hospital, right?
No, Tracy was born in Attleboro.
Okay, what about Todd?
Taunton.
Okay. And how many years did we live in Taunton, Massachusetts?
Now you put me on.
Well, I know I started 8th grade in Newport, Rhode Island. I know I went to middle school in Newport, Rhode Island.
You did. So we probably lived there till you were 8 or 9.
Okay. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, because you went to grammar school in Newport.
Okay. So everybody that knows the band and knows me, knows my history, knows that my mom raised 3 boys on her own. They know that my dad passed away when I was 3 years old, and my mom busted her ass, and we moved all around. She worked different jobs to raise 3 boys on her own, which is fucking amazing. We got into the punk rock and the skateboarding scene once we moved to Newport, Rhode Island. So that was around 8th grade then.
You were younger than that. I'm going to say 6th grade maybe for you. And you really just got into the skateboarding part there, to my knowledge.
And so why do we leave Taunton, Mass to go to Newport?
Well, after your dad died, I worked in Taunton for a while, but I just felt we needed a change, a fresh start. I sold the house. We went to Newport. I had friends there. And it was a beautiful place to live for the time we lived there.
Yeah, so that's when we heavily got into skateboarding, I think, and Toby Morse got into surfing.
Yes.
And that's where we started getting into more of the punk scene and started really focusing on skateboarding and music. And then we lived there during the America's Cup races.
Which was wonderful.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And except for the part when they tried to ban skateboarding. Remember that?
Yes.
We used to always skate down
And
things.
you got picked up a couple of times.
By the cops.
Yeah.
And
they didn't want it on the sidewalk. That was the whole
So what happened was we used to skate these banks off of Thames Street and this little square, some square down in Newport, and a skateboard shut out from underneath somebody's whatever and hit an old lady and broke her ankle or something. And she was a tourist visiting for the America's Cup. So they tried suing the city. And so I remember I went down to the liquor store to get you cigarettes or get something. And when I got around the corner and I came out, a police officer pulled up next to me and said, "Get in the car, son." And I had no phone, no nothing. I had gone to the store for you. I got into the cop car. And then as we went to the top of the street, we made another left. And then there was another kid with a skateboard. He picked him up too. So then we got to the police station. There was all these skateboards stacked up. And then all of my friends were there. Yep. And so we made a petition and we went and protested. And I remember being on City Hall and we got the law changed back. Because at that point, skateboarding was banned in Newport, Rhode Island.
Correct.
So actually, been arrested, I guess. I guess you call that being arrested.
Well, it picked up. You were a young boy. You weren't charged with anything. But yeah, they wanted to stop you from skateboarding on the sidewalks. Yeah.
So is it true, Mom, that you smoked cigarettes on all 3 pregnancies?
Yes.
You think that's why it turned out so perfect and weird?
I do. I think it is why you're perfectly insane.
It actually proves that smoking doesn't really affect being pregnant.
Well, in your case, I'm not sure, but
That's true. Okay, I'm gonna zigzag around because I got a bunch of notes. But
you better.
Dad was from Troy, New York.
Yes.
There was rumors that he escaped a chain gang. Is that true?
He didn't escape. He went to prison in Texas for like 6 months for check fraud, but he was with his big brother, but he wasn't on a chain gang that I know of.
Okay. But Dad had tattoos, right? My dad had like
he had 3
I have one.
Puny, very bad tattoos.
He had this one. I copied it. The little devil.
Yeah, he did. But that
the hot
better.
stuff. Mine looks better, yeah. He had a hot stuff tattoo, but he smoked and he drank.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a heavy drinker. Yeah. He smoked. We all smoke.
But he was super handsome. He looked very Elvis.
He was very handsome.
I'll post a picture of everybody. He was handsome, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
blonde, blue-eyed.
And so he was older than you when you met?
He was 7 years older than me, yeah.
And his parents didn't accept you, or our parents, or your parents?
No, my parents didn't accept him.
Because of what? Because he was younger and he was like...
Because he was older, because I eloped, because I got married right out of high school, because I left a note.
Okay. Was there like a notorious... was there a stigma about his family? That's why were they the local toughs?
No. It was just that he was older than me. I was 18. I ran off and got married, and my family disowned me.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
I couldn't even speak to my younger brother and sister.
Wow.
For a couple of years.
All for love.
All for love.
I back that.
Yeah.
Another question I have of my dad is that I don't have that many memories. Obviously, Tracy and Todd have more memories, but the memories I do have is one where he was on the beach and he stepped on the bottle, went through his foot.
I'm surprised you remember that, but that was very traumatic. I'm surprised you physically remember that, but yeah, that was traumatic. I had 3 little babies there on the beach with him. He was walking in the water with one of you, only up to his ankles.
Okay.
And he stepped on a beer bottle and cut his foot very, very badly.
And so we were all there with you on the beach? You made a rush to the hospital?
I couldn't. They called the ambulance. They took him. The lifeguards took him. I had to take you guys home. I had a baby. You were a baby. I don't know how you even remember that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then I went to the hospital, but they took him.
Wow.
He was out of work for quite a few weeks.
I remember that. Maybe I remember like actually witnessing and maybe hearing the stories.
Yeah, it's got to be.
A lot of my stuff is more the stories from you guys.
Because I think you were in the playpen then, so I don't think you do remember that.
And then another thing is Dad built this carriage, like this horse buggy.
Well, that's legendary.
Legendary. He built a horse buggy.
You may remember that. No, it was
horse carriage.
No, it was a a wagon, a covered wagon.
But with ones, it looks like a wooden wagon, and like the horse would get in the two things were there, right? And then you could walk with it. He pulled us around the horse carriage. It was a stagecoach
is what I'm trying to say. It was an actual stagecoach that had two things on it so you could pull it. And he pulled all the kids in the neighborhood around in it.
Yeah, so those are like those are the two memories I have, and then the one memory I really have that I'm not sure if is 100% correct. The day that he was having the chest problems, I remember being at my aunt's house, and I remember tell me this is true or not. Like I remember him coming home from work, or they were watching me, and he was having some problems. You took him to the hospital, and then that was it. Correct?
That's very incorrect. But the fact is that you and I were the only ones there that day when that happened to your dad.
Okay.
He was out shoveling snow. And he was 34, seemingly healthy guy. He was out shoveling heavy snow. He came in. He went and laid on the bed. He said, I think something's happening to me. I think I'm having a heart attack. And I can picture you visually on the bed on top of him.
I remember that. I was on the bed.
On top of him like, Daddy, what's the matter, Daddy? And his chest, I could tell by the way his chest was rising that he really was having a heart attack, even though he was young. So I wanted him to let me call the ambulance. He wouldn't. I got somebody to watch you, maybe the lady upstairs, and I took him myself. But you were there. You were there that day.
Okay. I do remember being on the bed, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the part right there.
Yeah. A lot of my memories are really vague, or they're through stories.
Osmosis, through somebody else.
Through just a couple photos. I only have a couple real photos with him. So after that, he went to the hospital, and he was there for about a week?
Yes, he wanted to come home the next day, of course. Once he got there, they did not register a heart attack on all their meters and stuff. But from what I described, they knew he had. So they put him in ICU. They had like whatever they inject him with. They had everything right there. They had him on monitors, and they told me he had to stay. But you got to realize we're talking about 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
Today they probably might have
saved him in a
Today
second.
They would have saved him because they would have had tests that would have shown the blockage.
Yeah.
But we're talking 40 years ago. So nothing ever happened the whole week he was there. And he was mad as hell about having to stay because he felt okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the day before he was supposed to go home that he went into cardiac arrest. Just went into cardiac arrest.
And so did we get to visit him at the hospital during that time?
No, because unfortunately 40 years ago, children weren't allowed in the hospital.
Wow.
I brought you one day, I think, so they could see you outside.
Yeah.
But in those days, it was very strict. Children didn't go inside.
So my last moment with my dad was basically when he
was that day.
No, he was
for you. It was that day, actually.
Yeah. And so after that,
and for your brothers, even less because they were in school.
So after that, we never saw my dad again.
Nope. You never.
Too young to go to the funeral.
Right. Well, that's a decision I made. I mean, you were 3. What were you doing going to a funeral? But for your older brothers, I think that was a mistake that I should have let them. But I decided not to let you guys go.
Is that a regret, you think?
I don't know if it's a regret. I thought it was the right thing at the time.
I think so, too.
But now I think it might have given them closure if they had gone. But for you, it wouldn't have made a difference.
I know.
Because as my pediatrician said, you hadn't reached the age of reason. Death didn't mean anything to you. You used to go around and say, my daddy's dead, but you didn't know what that meant. Do you know what I mean? You didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
You still thought he was coming back tomorrow. I mean,
but for how long was that like that?
A long time. I mean, a long time for all of us in different ways, in many different ways.
And so, yeah, I feel like, I mean, I talk to my brothers about it all the time. We're very emotional people. You're emotional.
Yeah.
We got the emotions from you, especially becoming parents.
Yeah.
Different commercials, different movies. I'm always crying during stuff. And
your brothers too.
Yeah. So I feel like, is it just because I'm a dad and I have a kid now? Is it because I have these issues of not having that father figure there, and that triggers something?
It's exactly that. It's your issues of not having a father there, and now you're a father getting to see all the things that your father didn't get to see.
Yeah.
And I know for Todd, it's terrible for him.
and not being able to call my dad and say, "Hey, Dad, remember when you took me fishing? Or how did that? I remember when you taught me to make that. I don't know, we made like a go-kart or something. That never happened with me.
Yep.
So I don't have those memories.
Yeah.
So, and then not to even keep it more on the dark side, but you saw Dad after he passed. Like you saw him in the house. Like you think he was there.
I felt him. I don't want to say I saw him.
Yeah.
But I physically felt him.
And
laying next to me. That's when I called my dad and made him get rid of the bed. And I didn't know you were going to make me cry.
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm not trying to make you cry. This is something I really want to talk to you about forever. And just so the bed had too many memories in it, obviously. And so Dad's spirit was there. And then once the bed was gone, do you feel like he was gone?
Well, that was just a physical thing for me to do. But I don't think he was gone.
I feel like he's never been gone. I feel like he watches over us to this day. 100%, Mom. I feel like there's so many situations where I feel like Dad's there, and I know he's proud of us, and I know he's proud of you and everything we've done. And like, it's hard because I knew him the less. I know him the least out of everybody, but I know from everything.
Yeah, you got cheated, but then everybody had something in life they had to deal with. And yours isn't the worst because in your case, in your brother's case too, you had a very loving family.
Grandma and Grandpa were amazing too.
You had grandparents who adored you.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a better upbringing than most.
I appreciate that. I appreciate Grandma and Grandpa. I appreciate you and everything, how you raised all of us on your own. You busted your ass, man.
Why are you doing this to me?
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm not trying to. These are just things I want to talk about. We can switch to when I almost died in the hospital and I turned blue in your arms.
That's another happy time.
I almost died. I had the blood transfusions and shit.
The next year, well, wait a minute. Let me think about this. 2 years after they lost their dad, that happened. That we almost lost you. I mean, we were this close. Yeah. Thank you.
Nobody even knows that shit. So what was my blood problem?
Well, I'll never really. It was a case for the medical books, strangely enough.
I remember Dr. LaRock.
No.
And I collected straws.
You and another kid in Massachusetts, it was just a common, everyday virus that kids get.
Okay.
Like with the fever and the congestion and the nose thing. A common thing. But in your case, and in the case of another child in Massachusetts, who I actually met the parents later on, in your case, it attacked your blood. And in this other child's case, it attacked the bone marrow.
Damn.
This virus that every kid gets. So you just started to bleed out of every orifice. That's not a nice way to put that, but I don't have another way of putting that.
How old was I?
You were 5. You're 5.
Wow. I remember I collected a bunch of straws.
It was horrifying. Yeah, you were spoiled rotten worse than ever after that. What really ruined Toby
wait, how
that
long?
He was so freaking spoiled from then on after that happened. Freaking spoiled rotten. Turned him into a monster.
Oh, my, because I almost died?
Well, because if you weren't spoiled before, which you were because you were the baby by Grandma and Grandpa, if you weren't spoiled before that, when that happened, you were even more spoiled. So don't let him ever tell you he hasn't had a wonderful childhood.
But at least I was alive. Mm-hmm. And I was here for 2 weeks in the hospital.
Well, that almost put me over the edge because I still hadn't recovered from your father. And to see my child laying there was...
I can't imagine.
The beginning of the end for me.
Yeah.
So
and I turned blue in your arms?
So I remember I sat with you 24 hours a day, Grandpa and I, because Grandma had to babysit the other two.
Yeah.
But I just kept telling you, you're not going anywhere, Toby. You're not going anywhere.
So I was unconscious or I was...
You were...
In and out?
You were in and out at first, but then when they wanted to move you to Boston, but they flew platelets in because they didn't dare to move you.
Wow.
Well, his blood wouldn't clot, so they had to And it wasn't leukemia or anything like that. This was just a freak kind of sideshow thing that never happened to him again. He's been fine. They flew platelets in, and thank God for Dr. LaRocque.
Dr. LaRocque, I remember his name.
He was
a great
best.
name, yeah. And I remember I had a big straw collection. I had a lot of popsicles.
Yeah, because the nurses and all the little striper girls and everybody came in to keep you company.
Was that Morton Hospital where I was born?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. It was. But that, for me, would have been the beginning of the end of me.
Yeah. I'm glad I made it through that.
I am, too, most of the time.
You're an asshole. So, Mom, she's... So, Mom, what is
Except when you act like an ass, and then I'm like,
you're a jerk. Oh, so, Mom, what was the final diagnosis of Dad? Why he passed at 33 years old?
Well, honestly, he passed from something that you would never pass from today. First of all, his upbringing, he never had childhood medical care. He had no medical care as a pediatric care. His health issues were probably many as a child went untreated, but actually it was a birth defect, and it was that the artery between the lung and the heart was like the artery of a 70-year-old.
Damn.
It was arterial sclerosis, but had he had pediatric care as a child, or even as a young adult, they would have found this. And today, they would find it before it ever got to this point.
Yeah.
And he would have had surgery. He would have been fine.
Yeah.
He would have been fine. It's something today that is very curable, but something that we didn't even know he had till after he was dead.
Okay. So my other question for you is, so this is all happening in Taunton, Massachusetts.
Correct.
And then we move to Newport, Rhode Island.
Correct.
And that's where life gets better in a sense for us.
Yeah, we were living in Newport.
Newport was awesome because we had all the beaches.
It's a beautiful place.
But that's where so we started getting the skateboarding and punk rock.
Yeah, you were into the skateboarding more than the others. Todd was too, I guess. But it was you. It was you probably more than
we
anybody.
did content and stuff. And so my mom was working a bunch of different jobs, and so my brothers would be watching me and stuff, and they would take me to punk rock shows. They'd take me to skateboarding, and so that's where I got exposed to a lot of that
was later.
but it was during the 8th, 9th, and grade. Before,
that was more when you were in Maryland, I think.
That's the next chapter. Just
before Maryland.
But one thing I want to ask you, too, is that we've always been told that we were Native American, but we did 23andMe, and it came back, I'm not Native American.
I know.
So
I always believe
where did that come from?
I always believe that your grandmother on your dad's side was at least half Native American, and your father had that type of skin, cheekbone, kind of like that Indian look about. But I just thought on
nobody was tested for it, obviously.
No. I always believed you did have some Native American in you from his mother.
Because I was wondering if you knew somebody who slept with somebody who was Native American.
I didn't know the history, no.
Because I'm wondering where it came from. But I got my thing back, and I'm 100% European. I'm 60% British and Irish.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely Irish.
I'm 5% French and German.
That's your grandfather.
7% Sardinian. 4% Balkan. Balkan. That's you.
Yeah, that's the
and
Balkan
then
states, yeah.
5.4% Iberian or Liberian.
I don't even know what that is.
Iberian. 3% Scandinavian.
Yeah. I would say Irish and English mostly.
Yeah, I'm broadly Northwestern European. I'm 21%. Broadly Southern European, 4%. And then broadly European, 1.9%. But no Native Americans. I was bummed at that. So Native American. So after that, we moved to Newport, Rhode Island. We talked about that.
Till 93. Till 83, I'm sorry.
83, and then we moved to Southern Maryland.
Well, because I got a job opportunity that was much better than what I was doing in property management. That's how I got into property management. And it included a free apartment, which was a biggie. Yeah, free everything.
For sure.
So I took just you and Todd to Maryland because Tracy was 18, 19. He was already with roommates. He didn't want to come.
He didn't want to come to Maryland. I remember that. He wanted to go to the South.
Right. Neither did Todd, but I made him.
Yeah.
Todd hated me for a year after that happened, but
I think Maryland was a good change for Todd.
Well, yeah, but Todd needed to get out of Newport, but we're not talking about Todd. But
yeah,
but
he was wilding out though.
Anyway, you guys, that's where you brought skateboarding to Maryland,
Yes.
to that little piece of southern Maryland.
Lexington Park, Maryland, St. Mary's County.
To that little area. They had never
Yeah.
seen skateboarding before.
So we leave Newport, Rhode Island, where we got into all the punk rock and skateboarding. We go because my mom got a job.
Yeah.
She's running this apartment complex.
Yeah.
We move in there, me, Todd, and my mom. And the maintenance man is Rusty Pistachio,
Correct.
who is now in H2O
He was
since day one.
19.
Rusty was 19 years old.
And I was his boss.
My mom was his boss. He had a mullet, and he was this like redneck guy who worked there in the maintenance shop. And so I remember the first day Todd Morse saw him riding a skateboard. Todd's like, "Hey, can I try your skateboard?"
Yeah.
And he gave it to Todd Morse, and Todd Morse did a trick and broke it in half. Russ like, "Oh man, you broke my board." So then immediately we became
I
friends.
can hear Rusty say.
Yeah, man, you broke my board. And so immediately we became friends. And then Rusty shaved his mullet into a mohawk. He chopped his car down. He had like a Fiat. He chopped the roof off, put anarchy on the sides. He got fired from his job for stealing wood from the woodshed for building a quarter pipe. He got in trouble.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he stole it from the maintenance shack. He built us a quarter
that
pipe.
must have been
I'm
after
gonna
I
post
left.
pictures.
Because
Yes, not for real.
that was after I went on to the job up in Waldorf because
Okay.
I didn't fire him.
Yeah,
No.
so we met Rusty, and that's where we became friends. When we met Todd Friend, that's when we met Todd Friend. And I remember
So I guess going to Maryland was fate, wasn't it?
it was totally fate. And I remember we used to take mattresses and put them up against the wall in Rusty's apartment and slam dance against the wall.
I do remember that.
His apartment. And then we got into Maryland, and that was
Yeah.
the first time ever for me I experienced like the separation, the racism, because we were in the South.
It was terrible.
Especially in my high school.
It was like going back into the 1950s. It was actually shocking.
And I remember my yearbook in the class of '88. You open the page, and one side's white and one side's black, and I was with the black crowd in the middle with my white uniform choice hoodie.
It was terrible.
But we weren't raised like that, and
No,
so when we got
no.
down there, it was just like, this is crazy. It was so segregated, and it was kind of scary.
It was well, for me, my own personal experience working in it was I was a northern white woman who came down there to be the boss of, because we were building another community right behind it, of a bunch of southern white men, and they were not having it. They gave me a very, very hard time. They did not respect me. It took quite a while
I remember that. And
for them to have any use for me talking to them as a boss.
that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the apartment complex was really small.
Yeah, it
and then
was.
there was a bunch of woods, and then there was a school.
That was
So
your school,
we could
yeah.
walk to school every single day through the woods. There was a wood path.
That's right.
That was awesome. That was super close. And as we discussed earlier before the podcast, yes, I've always had a problem with going to the bathroom, and I chose not to use the bathroom at school, so I would go home through the woods and go to the bathroom at home. Or if I couldn't make it, I'd go to the bathroom halfway in the woods, and that's a fact.
That
But
I didn't need
I've
to
always
know.
had a nervous stomach my whole life, and so that really helped.
Me too.
Yeah, you did actually. So that really helped being that close to
Yeah.
the school. There was a lot of shit because we were like the weirdos in the town. Like I moved to Southern Maryland.
Yeah.
I'm wearing checkered Vans, which were weird back then.
Yeah.
Or orange Converse
Yeah.
and Dickie pants and safety pins, and we were punk
And
rock
he
and
was
shaved heads.
breakdancing his head off.
I'll get the prom king at the school. I was a school jester in
Yeah.
senior year. I was breakdancing at the high school, and we were like these skateboarding, like outgoing people.
Yeah.
And nobody was like that in the town. Nobody skateboarded in the
Mm-hmm.
town. And now there's a skate park in the town.
Yeah.
Facts.
Fact, yeah. And
So-
Rodcraft, Dad built a skateboard, remember?
Yeah, so we started getting inspiring the kids in our school. So then all these ramps started popping up in
Yeah.
Southern Maryland, which was
Yeah.
amazing. So we
because
had,
they didn't have sidewalks.
but anyway, so we had all these ramps. We started the skateboard community in the town, and I have a picture I should post it too when the newspaper in 1984.
That's right.
Hardcore thrashing at Lexwoods, and Lexwoods is the apartment complex my mom managed.
Correct.
And there's a picture of the quarter pipe that Rusty built after he stole the wood. So that's on the cover of the newspaper.
And when he pulled on the back of a truck and broke both his arms skateboarding.
Wasn't it a motorcycle?
No, that was a skateboard. He
Oh, yeah,
thought
Russ-
it was
yeah,
funny.
Yeah, so Rusty was holding on back of a truck. He broke both his arms, and my
Both
mom took
and-
care of him.
I had to take him in along with the other three and get the boys to do things that usually you would be able to do by yourself, but he couldn't because he had no arms.
Yeah, broke his arms. Sorry about that, Rusty. So anyway, we ruined Rusty's life, but then he became an H2O, and now we're all together. So that's where everything kind of began, though. That was the fate to move to. As much as
it was fate because that's where your band. Yeah, that's where the
Everything.
music part of it
so
started.
as much as we went there kicking and screaming, at least Todd did. A lot of good things came from there.
But what DC wasn't far. You ended up going up to DC as you got older. Yeah.
So we started going to shows on the weekend in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
How long was that drive?
An hour.
So we would go up there, Rusty, and we go see punk shows.
Baltimore was an hour.
Yeah, punk shows on the weekend.
Yeah.
Got to see Fugazi's first couple of shows. Got to see so many great bands. Embrace, so many amazing bands. We came from like the punk scene in Providence, Rhode Island, which was great, and then we got to go to the DC scene, which was amazing too.
Right.
Actually,
bands.
Yeah. Did we ever take you to a punk show back then or nothing? Or no?
I think one of my first experiences was one of the ones I remember. I've been to a lot of places that no adult should go to, but CBGB's was one of my most memorable.
Shows.
I think that was the first time that I saw you in H2O live.
Yeah, that was a great.
For
show.
some reason, I went to New York. I guess I went because of that. I don't remember why I went, but the place was packed, and I went to CBGB's.
Yeah.
God rest its soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace, CBGB's. Yeah, I do remember that show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then the band started, and then how long did you stay in Maryland for at that point?
Actually, I stayed in Maryland almost 11 years, but then I returned. You guys were already out of there because Grandma got sick.
Okay.
And since I was a single person, nobody else wanted to come home and take care of Grandma. Okay, nobody was close enough to, so I went back to the Northeast to be closer to her.
Okay. So we were gone then. I moved to New York first.
Yeah. And
I left Jenny Strickland, my first love. No, not. Oh my God, Shelley Shackley, my first love, on a winding road in Maryland. Dave Weiskopf drove me in the station wagon, dropped me at CBGB's, and that's where I ended up living in Flushing, Queens.
Yeah.
So I moved first, and then Todd Morse came after, then Rusty.
Todd Morse.
I just looked at the postcard the other day from Todd. Actually,
when Todd Morse came, but yeah,
soon after.
He came soon after, and then Todd Friend.
With
did he go with you?
Because the Out Crowd moved to New Jersey.
That's right.
Todd's
That's right.
New Jersey.
Jersey City, a hole in the wall.
We were paying $1,000 for a 3-story house. It was amazing.
It was a hole in the ground.
But now it's really nice there.
Yeah.
Todd Friend still lives there. Shout out to Todd Friend in Jersey City. So then you went back there, and then we all went to New York.
I went back there, but I didn't move back to Taunton.
Yeah.
I went back to Newport.
And then when did you start being a blackjack card dealer at Foxwoods, and how many years were you doing that for?
Well, that was crazy, too, because I didn't even know there was a casino in the Northeast.
Me either, till you worked there.
I went back, moved in with a girlfriend of mine, and started waitressing, which I had done years ago. And then I met somebody that said, hey, they're getting ready to open a casino in Connecticut. And I'm like, what? And they said, yeah, they're taking applications. Why don't you go down and fill out an application?
Were you into gambling or anything, like playing cards or anything before that?
No.
So it was just a job to you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had been to a casino before, but I wasn't a gambler. So I went down and filled out an application. They called me 2 weeks later.
It's awesome.
To go to blackjack school.
It's so hard. How hard was that training for that?
Very hard. And I'll tell you why it was so hard. At the time, I was working full-time as a banquet manager at a hotel, which involved...
Solomon's Island?
Wait,
No,
which involves a lot of events and going to blackjack school from 3 to 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Getting up at 2 a.m., driving from Newport to Connecticut to go to blackjack school, to come back to be a banquet manager all day long.
That's brutal.
For 8 weeks.
8
And
weeks.
then you had no guarantee of passing. There was no guarantee going to that blackjack school.
Were you stressing after the 8 weeks?
You either passed. I was exhausted after the 8 weeks. I really didn't care at that point, but I was determined to finish it.
And how long was that drive for that?
Good hour and a half. At 2 a.m., I had to get up at be on the road at 2 a.m.
Wow.
But then I still had a full day of work ahead of me after that.
Wow.
And I couldn't tell work. Because I didn't want them to know I was going for this other job.
Yeah.
But I got it, so.
So how many years were you there at Foxwoods?
13 till I moved here.
And did you get carpal tunnel and stuff like that?
I had a lot of issues, yeah. Neck issues, thumb issue, trigger thumb issues, especially the cervical spine issue. That put me out of work for a while. There's a lot of physical issues that go with repeating repetitive movement 8 or 9 hours a day, standing, repetitive movement. Depending on the game you dealt was depending on what your medical issues were.
Yeah.
For my friend Adrian, it was her back because she was a crap stealer, bent over a game all the
Yeah,
time.
people don't think about that.
Yeah. In fact, when I finally left, I was still recovering from trigger finger. I was still in therapy for trigger finger when I left the job.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot of injuries from it. Obviously, you're doing repetitive motion all the time.
Yeah, a lot of my friends.
But it was a very interesting job if you want to write a movie or a TV series.
A lot of characters.
You couldn't. Nobody would believe what you see in a casino.
There's like a lot of good.
Because I worked 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The worms came out after 2. Those were the creepy crawlers that never see daylight. And it was a cast of characters that you couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. You know what I mean? The stories that I would have to tell about being a blackjack dealer.
Was it like Casino vibes too? Isn't that movie close to it? Casino.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes high rollers. Sometimes the
Goodfellas
other side of
people.
it. Yeah. I dealt to a couple of. I dealt to. Can't think of his name, the actor, but anyway, actors came
De Niro?
in, and Ben Affleck hung out there all the time. He had a real gambling problem even then. I probably shouldn't say that.
Now he has up spots.
Now he has other. No, he was there all the time. He played poker all the time.
Blowing up spots.
Yeah.
So, do you remember going with me to the to school when I got straight F's on my report card?
No, I don't. I don't really.
I remember.
I don't remember
day. It was straight F's mostly in gym, because I never dressed down in gym. Because
I don't remember that at all.
I have the post. I have the report card still.
You do. It was all F's.
All F's because I was too punk to do sports, so I wouldn't wear the shorts and
But
wear
what's
the
that
outfits.
got to do with your other subjects?
Because they failed me for not putting the uniform on in gym class.
I have absolutely.
So I got straight F's all 4 years in high school. All 4 years in high school. I mean, all 4 years in there. Yeah.
How did you graduate?
You could graduate without passing gym. I think. Oh, I went to summer school too. Maybe I went to summer school in 8th grade too.
Yeah, you
Thompson
did.
High,
Yeah,
Thompson
you
Junior
did.
High.
You did. I don't remember the F's. I must have blanked.
What I want to say is that for as much as you busted your ass to raise us, and as much as we kind of ran wild, we turned out pretty good, even with the grades we got.
I didn't think you ran wild, but okay.
Well, I mean, as far as I
worked a lot of the time,
but I skipped school a lot to skate. That's a fact.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now you tell me.
Well, that was in Maryland.
Well, I was working.
I know.
Yes, I had to work. I couldn't be with you 24/7.
But it was
right.
I'm saying we're doing creative shit.
You're not in jail, so I guess
I'm
it's
not
good.
in jail, and
you
so the
are such a stupid jerk for not being Eminem.
One thing that people don't know about me is that I gave breakdance lessons in St. Mary's County.
Mm-hmm.
It was a teen center, and I taught breakdancing. Mm-hmm. I loved hip hop. I always loved hip hop and breakdancing.
You're a great rapper.
And so yeah, so I broke dance. I break danced at my prom. I was a school prom king, and I break danced at my high school, which was what was my high school? Great Mills High School, St. Mary's County, Southern Maryland.
Yeah,
class of '88, and I was a break dancer. And my mom always said when I started playing music and being punk rock, she's like, "Why weren't you a rapper? You should have been a rapper.
When Eminem first came out, Slim Shady.
Yeah.
And this kid was rapping the way he was rapping, and then Eminem got famous. I said, why in the hell didn't you rap? Why didn't you rap? You were as good as he was. I don't
think I was good as Eminem.
I don't know if you had his own
material. I had a group called Thrapping Crew.
You didn't have your own. I don't know if you had your own material.
Maybe now we had a group called Thrapping Crew. It went like Thrasher, and we taught
him
to play drums.
Like, he
Mike
could have
Olson
been the first white rapper.
I don't have skills like him.
This guy.
And here's my point. I'm going to make clear to people that ask me this all the time. Because I respect and love the culture so much, I would never try to rap because I'm not good as a rapper, Mom. And I would be disrespected by trying to be a rapper because I love hip hop and everything about it. And I have a million
I do too.
rap tattoos, and I grew up on that.
Yeah.
I would never try to disrespect and I can rap now. I can be a rapper.
And then Eminem was better than you, I guess.
What do you mean? Eminem's the best of all time.
I love you, Eminem, by the way. I have a huge crush on you. I am. He's one of my favorites.
But Eminem,
I love him.
Eminem's one of the greatest.
He is. He is.
I mean, if you ever put my name in that same sentence, Mom, you bug me.
He is.
I rap stupid raps
but
with
you
skateboarding.
missed your opportunity.
I have the rap here. Want to hear it?
Not really.
They come to the ramp with their boards, Rap Bones, G&S, Skull, and Sports. They all have pads from signed by dads. We say drop in, they pose with a grin. We say, why do you come? Skater or pose. They say leave us alone because we wear skate clothes. There with the crowd, wearing skate clothes and being proud. Oh, the song was called Posers.
I kind of like that.
That was my rap song, Mom.
It's kind of cute. I mean, it's out of date now, but
I remember my grandparents would take me to Bradley's every weekend and buy me a Matchbox car.
your grandpa.
Every weekend I pick out a Matchbox car on a Saturday, and they also would drive us to Reed and Barton's.
Yeah,
what was Reed and Barton's?
That was where Grandpa worked. But they used to go to all your ball games. They were all when you were little. You kids played soccer. You played b-ball. You played. They were always there. They were always there.
And Grandpa loved the Red Sox.
Loved.
I remember always seeing them on
Red
his TV
Sox.
the whole time. Always that.
Yes.
But Reed and Barton's is where they made silver.
Silver. It was silverware. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember going through that.
That's where your grandpa. But Grandma and Grandpa, you were their baby.
And I remember.
And I used to say to Grandma, the fact that he's such a spoiled brat is your fault.
Thank you.
So don't let Toby ever tell you that he wasn't spoiled, because he was.
Okay, do you remember the day that I sold all my Matchbox cars on Thames Street? I wanted a pair of OP shorts.
Wait a minute. That was the beginning
hustle,
of you being an entrepreneur. In fact, Tracy and I were just talking about that exact thing yesterday, about the entrepreneur part of you was started when you were hustling your Matchbox car on Thames Street to get money.
I bought skate shorts.
Right, to get something special that you wanted.
So I sold Matchbox cars on
that
the corner of my house.
His grandfather had collected for him for so
but I was
many
older
years.
then.
Yeah, he was.
So I sold them. I think I got like $50 or something, and I bought a pair of OP shorts.
Yep.
They were made out of corduroys, and they were super high in baby blue. I definitely have a picture of me wearing them. Super high OP shorts. It was so awesome to get Ocean Pacific shorts because it was a skater thing, and I was a skater, and so I made my own money that way.
Entrepreneur.
So all my Matchbox cars were gone.
Yeah.
All those memories.
Yeah.
That's where it all began.
With Tracy, though, he did that with his comics eventually, though, too. He collected the comics,
that's right.
the old one. And not till he was like a young adult, but, I mean, he used that money when he had to turn it over for something he needed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have so many good... I'm going to wait till I have Todd and Tracy, and I have so many great stories of us three together, crazy stuff.
That I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I'll save that for that.
And I won't listen to on the podcast.
So we talked about a lot of things. I'm trying to think what else we could talk to you about, Mom. The Native American thing was really insane. Get my 23andMe back. That was amazing. Are there any other memories? Anything you could talk about? Any story? Oh, I have a good story, Mom. You remember when we lived on...
I have one, too.
But remember the house...
I'm going to finish with that.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay, the house we lived was at Holland Street, and there was a long driveway behind us.
You're going to tell a story that I was going to tell.
I want you to tell it. I want you to tell it.
This is a good finish right here. The other side. Oh, no, I got one more. When we lived on Holland Street, I owned my own house then. We owned our own house. We had a nice big yard, fenced-in yard. There was a long driveway where the other family lived.
What did that house cost, you think, back then?
Cost me $25,000 then in the 60s. It's probably worth $500,000 now.
Sure. They might have knocked it down and put some
anyway, so he was little. You weren't even in school. You might have been 4 or 5, maybe. So I had Nancy Bagg was over that day because she remembers that story.
And my uncle's Dick Bag. Is that a fact?
That is correct.
His name was Dick Bag. That's really the truth.
That is correct.
He had the best jokes ever.
Yep. God rest his soul.
Rest in peace, Dick Bag.
Anyway, I sent him to the neighbors. I was baking something. I didn't have eggs. And I said, can you go to Mrs. Chappell's and get 2 eggs for me?
Chapel.
Yeah. So there he goes. We're all at the table talking and chatting. He goes down the walk. He comes back. It's big tears. I dropped the eggs. Mommy. I said, okay. Just go back and see if she'll give you 2 more eggs. Tell her you dropped them. So he goes down that. But this time we watch. Goes to Mrs. Chappell's, gets the eggs, comes out, goes in his own yard, and throws the eggs against the shed.
I was smashing them all day,
He
pretty
was
much.
smashing the eggs against the shed.
How many times did I do it before you figured out it was actually...
That was like the second time.
Okay.
Because we were just we weren't watching you because we were suspicious. We were just watching you get on the walk because you were so sad.
I know the other one you're going to tell me, and it involves one of my favorite foods. You remember this one, Mom?
Yeah.
Please tell that one. It's a great one.
What?
I was watching a movie.
Yeah. Watching a movie. You can picture these three little boys watching a movie. I give them a big bowl of popcorn. They're watching a movie. All of a sudden, I hear Toby, Mom, I got a popcorn on my nose. I got popcorn on my nose. I go in it, and it was really up his nose.
I jammed it up there really far.
It was up. Why did you do that? I don't know. I had to take him to the hospital because I could not get it out.
Oh my God!
Because he
With the
had
hospital.
shoved it so far up his nose.
Oh my God! There's another traumatic thing that happened. I never told you. You might know about. A seaweed bug went inside my penis in Newport Island at the beach.
I think you told me that.
Did it true? I had some ticks. A tick went in my head and did a little thing in my head, and that was a problem too. I remember like a tick getting embedded in my head. And
that could be. I mean, I don't really remember that. I don't remember the F's. I'm sure it blanked that out. But
I remember we dug a hole in the backyard and put black trash bags in it, and that was our G.I. Joe swamp.
Yeah, you had a whole. You dug up the backyard and you had all your army out there, but you didn't tell them how you did fame for a whole summer.
What?
Not fame.
We did Grease.
You did Grease.
Toby Morse was the main guy in Grease.
In the tin shed in the backyard with the two little girls from the neighborhood.
We didn't perform it for the town. It was just for us?
It was for people in the neighborhood.
What?
All summer long. It was Grease.
I remember Todd was the lead. He was John Travolta.
Grease.
And who was I in there?
I don't remember.
Todd was the lead for sure.
But I remember the two little girls that were in it. To the neighbor girls, and you took the shed was your stage. That was your whole, that tool shed.
And so we performed Grease
all the time, too many times.
So it ran all summer.
Yeah,
like a Broadway thing.
Too many times to recall.
So we had just one summer. That was it. Then we got over it.
Thank God. Yes. Yeah. And if we want to go back just a little bit further about when you used to go to Grandma and Grandpa's, and you would just before your dad died. I think your dad was still alive then, and you loved Grandpa's hat. He had the felt hat. And they always called it the Googa hat.
I have a picture of that, the Googa hat.
You also liked to, Grandma had a basket of balls for you kids to play with, and you always liked to stuff the balls up inside your shirt like you had boobies. So we started calling you Two-Ball Toby. And that is very, very true. I swear that is true. And I have pictures to prove that.
Two-Ball Toby?
Two-Ball Toby. Because you know why you putting up there when it didn't have anything to do with boobies. You wanted to take them home. And Grandma always tell you had to leave them. So you thought if you put them upside your shirt, she wouldn't see them. And sometimes she'd let you get away with it. But you'd come out, you'd have these two balls and your Googa hat on.
The Googa hat. Why do they call it the Googa hat?
I think Grandpa did. There was an old-time comedian that God was before I was ever born. I think his name was something Guggenheim or something. But the two balls, Ray and Donna used to laugh till they cried over that one.
Were any of us accidents, me, Todd, or Tracy?
Tracy was the most accident-prone. Between 4 and 6, he was having accidents.
No, I mean, were we accidents? Were you supposed to get pregnant with us?
I'm never going to say my kids are accidents. None of them were accidents.
I thought I'd throw that in there.
None of them were accidents.
I'm trying to. I think that's pretty good. I think we talked about a lot of things here today, Mom. My question to you is
when is this over?
Through all these years of everything you've been through, struggles, the highs, the lows, what keeps you optimistic? That's my main question. Everybody, like, what keeps you happy? Come closer. I know your grandchildren. I know all about everything. My
grandchildren are number one.
Over your sons, I get that. But what keeps you positive, and what keeps you enjoying life?
I guess by the time, once I recovered from all that when I was younger, I mean, I really feel I've lived a lot of lives, a lot of separate lives that are compartmentalized, I guess. That, hey, you got to move forward. You got to live in the present. You only have the present. And maybe that's realizing that life is short. You have to live in the present. You have to be present. And I think today, with all the technology, a lot of people are not present.
Yeah.
They're not present with their kids. They're not present with one another in relationships. Mm-hmm. They are not present.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be present. Today is today. You don't get to go back. You can only go forward.
And what do you think you instilled in us to make us turn out the way we did? I don't know. Like, what do you think? Because you were so
I
you were never
hope-
you were never. I just want to say you were never like strict to like you got to do this, you got to do that. I know
wasn't strict
Uncle Ray.
enough.
Uncle Ray was very strict about us going to the military.
I should have hit you a lot more times.
You
all
did-
of you.
I want to say my mom smacked me in the face till I was at least 16, straight up. And I remember getting your wet cigarette kisses on my face.
I remember pulling you up, pulling you by the ears. That was my trick
yeah.
because I had long nails.
You-
then,
I hated your
and
long
that
nails.
hurt like hell.
I was-
or I could
I-
get
I
you in
feared-
the arms like this.
I feared. Yes, the little pinch thing you did. I feared your nails.
That was my
And
only
our
threat because you were bigger than me.
So what was I asking before
I
that?
hope that I
Yeah, what you
hope
think
that
you
if
did.
I instilled anything in you, we were very tight because of our situation.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever, and you and your brothers were very
But you
tight.
weren't like you need to do this. You were never like that. You were very open.
I
about
hope
that.
I instilled in you to be kind people, if anything.
That 100% works. 100% you did that. You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
That's great, and that really, I think that definitely was instilled in us,
I
especially
think,
after going
I
to
think,
Maryland.
I think
after
that's the
that,
biggest thing, and I think in today's world there's so much hate
totally.
that you need to be kind.
Yeah.
I wanted my sons to be kind. I wanted them to be good to people.
Yeah, I think you did good with that.
Yeah.
I feel like we are, and I feel like especially in this world. But I also feel I want to thank you also for always letting us be ourselves, because
That I did do. I have to admit that I was very good about supporting you guys, whether I agreed with it or not.
yeah.
I many times I didn't agree.
Oh my
with
God,
that.
we have to get to that. Okay, my mom hated my tattoos. I have letters from my mom
Hated
and
them.
my grandma
Hated
begging
them.
me not to get
Hated
tattoos. I was already living on my own in New York. They hated my
them.
tattoos.
Grandma especially.
I remember
she
at my
could not
I remember at
handle
my
it.
grandfather's funeral. I just
I
got the
did too.
sick of it all dragging in the back of my head. I had a bandage over the top of it.
Because
And
he
I told
knew
everybody-
how upset I would be if I
And
saw
I told
that.
everybody that I got
Over
I,
his suit.
I told everybody I got stitches and I got hurt or something.
Yeah, you did.
But I remember I was
You
at the
did.
casket and it kind of fell down and somebody saw it.
Michelle.
Michelle saw the bandage
Michelle
fall
was
off
sitting
when
in
I was
the
at the
back.
casket for Grandpa,
Yeah.
and she saw the dragon
started
peeking out.
She
and they
started
bugged
laughing,
on me, man.
laughing her head off.
But I
'Cause
was
she
like-
knew I'd kill you.
But my it bummed me out. I
freaking
really
kill
it really
you.
bummed me out. My grandma's like, you weren't born this way. God didn't make you this
she
way.
never accepted those tattoos. She.
But did Grandpa have a tattoo?
No.
Okay, they must have hated Dad's tattoo then. If she didn't like tattoos.
Well, I mean, yours were extreme. I mean, your dad has some little ones like this. Let's be real. But she wouldn't be able to handle this now.
yeah, but
She
they
would
were
never be
coming
able
from
to.
the old school, like
Of course they were.
sailors and
Yes,
military
but-
and criminals.
And for the fact that you had a beautiful young body, what the hell you were covered up with tattoos for? I still think that.
I have one more story too. You remember when I told Uncle Ray I was gay and I was coming out of the closet?
Oh my God, we laughed till we cried about that. In fact, when Michelle was here, we should have talked about it because Michelle and I talked about that.
Because he was like, he
story.
wasn't against it, but he was super military and manly
He
and
was
respect and
military.
loyalty. And
He was very, everything was black and white for him, you know. I mean, that was his life. I adore him. And he was very, he was very closed in. And of
We
course,
must have been freaks to him
of course,
then.
my kids were so opposite that.
coming there with bleached hair. I remember,
It was
I remember seeing, yeah,
ridiculous. You with when you had your
my
dreads,
nose ring, my
No, your
dreads. Yeah.
But anyway, you sat on the couch next to your Uncle Ray one day trying to think of something to say, and he's trying to talk to you, and you said, I just came out, I'm gay. Well, he looked at you, he looked at me. He didn't know where to go with himself. He had no idea where to go with himself because he really fell for it.
And he was really pushing. I feel like he really wanted me to go to the military so
I
bad.
wanted you to go in the military because you didn't have a life.
Yeah. But music.
I wanted you to do something.
Yeah.
You can't just do nothing. I remember telling Todd the many times I threw him off my couch and he kept telling me he was going to be a rock star, and I kept telling him to get a job.
Yeah.
Well, shame on me.
And this too.
Shame
This is a true story.
on
My
me.
mom was living with this guy named Jim, and ended up being a piece of shit. And they gave me an ultimatum: get a job or we're kicking you out. So I didn't get a job in the time. They kicked me out. I got a job at the steakhouse, Solomon Steakhouse, like 2 days later.
I took you to
yeah,
work.
so I'm glad you did that too, because
Yeah,
I learned
took
how to
you
hustle
work.
after
Yeah,
that too.
I
At
took you to work.
17.
But with Todd, it was always like, he always thought he was going to be a rock star. I don't know why.
I moved in with Shelly Shackley after I lived in her attic with my
Yeah,
girlfriend.
yeah.
I cleaned their pool. That was my chore. So yeah, Jim Greco, you're a piece of shit. You broke my mom's heart. If you're listening, Uncle Ray, I love you. And Uncle Ray, I just found out the other day that he was a massive Bill Cosby fan, and he had this whole collection of records, and he just smashed them all recently.
Yeah.
Because he's like loyalty and respect
Well,
is super hard.
Well, we all were. We had no reason not to be.
Yeah.
That was an innocent time. That was innocent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yes, Toby, that's it for my story.
I'm gonna say there's one more thing I want to clarify with you. So, in the song 5-Year Plan, my mom's been struggling since I was 3. I was always been told that my dad died when I was 3.
You were, because you hadn't turned 4.
But he died in 74. So it's confusing to me.
Wait a minute.
Because the dates that I have on my wrist.
Let's stop here. Let's stop. Let's think about this. I know you told me this before.
Because my tattoo says 1973.
The only thing that's wrong on here, well, that's wrong of you, but
I was told that growing up.
But
so does my song not mean anything?
No, listen.
My mom's been struggling since I was 4.
No, you weren't 4. Let me finish.
Okay, let's clarify this shit. It's been stressing me out.
Okay. The thing that's wrong on here, I think, I don't see the
It can't be wrong on his gravestone.
No. 74. He died in February. You were 3.
Oh, my God. I'm so happy you clarified this shit.
You were 4 in April.
Yes.
You were 3.
I was going to tell the world that this song has been wrong the whole time, and I just figured out on the Dad's grave. Another thing on Dad's grave that's freaking amazing is it says, "Lead us to the springs of life-giving water." Who chose that, and what does that mean? Because to me, it means your son started a band called H2O, and it's fate.
Well, maybe.
So what does that mean to you? Where did that come from?
That was put there for your dad.
But where's that quote from?
It's from the Bible.
Okay.
It's from a psalm. Okay. So yeah, maybe that. I don't know.
I have that tattooed on me.
It's interesting.
I tattooed that on me, Mom, because.
But that was from a psalm.
Yeah. So real quick too, we didn't grow up super religious. We were Catholic, and we went to church.
You were super religious
because
you all received First Communion.
First Communion.
You were all baptized.
Yeah.
I can remember.
We had to go to church though. It was the main thing.
Well, I wanted to go to church.
Even more after Dad died.
After Dad died, we went to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
But then when we moved to Newport, for whatever reason, we kind of got away from it, I think. And so I never got away from the Christian part of it. I still feel I'm a Christian. I still
really. I wasn't Catholic. I wasn't Catholic.
You were Catholic.
So why
You're
Christian
still
for you?
Catholic, but I say I'm a fallen away Catholic, so I just say I'm a Christian now.
Is your faith just as strong as it was back then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Pray every day. Pray every day.
Okay.
But I just don't have to do it in a church.
Yeah.
Although there are times like we went at Christmas, it was lovely to go to. It wasn't even a Catholic church, but we went to this church in Hollywood where it's LBG. It's that type of church.
LGBT, yes.
But they sing. It's mostly singing, and Vivian loves to go to that church, and we went. It was lovely, but I'm very Christian. I'm very Christian.
I didn't even know that, Mom.
And I hope I live my life that way. I hope you're living yours that way.
So what made you go from Catholic to Christian?
Well, I just say I'm Christian because I no longer go to church. I no longer am living the
Christian
Catholic.
Is a separate thing from Catholic.
No, it isn't.
Okay.
No, it isn't.
I'm not really a religious person.
No, it isn't. I just my faith is in here. I don't need a building for that.
I agree. I mean, not to get into religion with you, I was wondering that too.
No.
Because I go to church.
I'm very
We hated
religious.
going to church, but I got it. It was part of, and then when Dad died, it was like, connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And your dad was a believer because as destiny would have it, or fate, or whatever you want to call it, and I do believe in fate, that he decided to convert. I never encouraged him to convert. I never pushed it on him. We baptized the kids. He was not a Catholic. He was not practicing anything.
Yeah.
But a year before he died, he came to me and said, I really want to be baptized.
A year before he died?
Yes, I want to become a Catholic. So Father Nagel, who you don't remember.
I know Father Nagel's
name. Yeah, he was a young
priest,
very young priest. He taught your father. Your father was baptized.
Wow.
Your father did receive First Communion. Your father did become a Catholic a year before he died. So your father was basically an innocent when he died.
Huh.
He was innocent, clean.
Everything clean slate.
Clean. But he wanted to do that almost as if he knew something.
Was he really? Wasn't really a bad dude though.
Did he?
Dad was tough though, right? He was a street guy.
Listen, your dad was a wonderful husband and father. He never was. Your dad.
Not to you, but in general,
No,
he's a street
your
kid.
dad was a street kid. He had to survive.
Troy, New York. Troy, New York. Shout out to Troy, New York.
He had a
It's no
father
joke.
who was brutal, a brutal man. So yes, he grew up in that. But once him and I got together, and he had a life that he never thought he'd have, and he appreciated it. And he was never anything but gentle. I mean, I saw him lose his temper maybe twice, and he hit the wall. When he lost his, and I saw Todd do that once too. Instead of, when he hit the wall, and he was over it.
Yeah.
He was over it. But he was not a brutal person. Like there's a story. He was not the brutal person of
A product of his environment.
Of the environment that he came from. His older brother was.
Gotcha.
His older brother was as brutal as his father, but he survived that, and yet he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because he found a different way. You know what I mean? He found a different way.
Well, I think we talked about a lot today, and the one thing I got from you is that you raised us to be kind, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I was 3 when my dad died.
And not prejudicial. Never.
No, that's how you
Accept
raise us.
people as they are and as they come. I grew up in a very prejudiced environment, and I overcompensated. I swore
that.
my kids were never, ever going to be
I love that, Mom.
Just
Yeah.
accept people as they come to you.
That's how we turned out. I thank you for that.
As they are. And I think you all did turn out
Because
that
racism
way.
starts in the home, 100%.
And that's something I'm really proud of.
You should be.
Yeah.
It's how you're raised.
It is. Well, it
Starts
is.
in the home.
Well, you model after the people around you.
Yeah, except I never smoke cigarettes. So thank you
You're
for
not born. You're not born with hate. You learn hate.
Yeah.
Nobody's born with hate.
that. Nobody's born with it. And real quick, you smoked cigarettes for 50 years?
Yeah.
How long have you been not
I miss it
smoking now?
every day. That was my best friend.
Oh, Mom, how many years now since not smoking?
6.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I never thought.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so proud of you, though.
yeah,
I know. We're proud of you as your kids, but you're like, fuck that. I wish I had a cigarette. But
Me
you know
too.
But you know you're
Me
better.
too.
But you look great. You look better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what
I mean, I made up my mind I was going to do it, but I wouldn't lie and say I don't miss it. I do
yeah.
miss it.
I remember the house smelled like
There
cigarettes.
was many, but you know what? You guys, everybody smoked. Ray and Donna, everybody.
Smoked in airplanes.
Wait, everybody smoked, and all 3 of you, and Donna and Ray's 2 kids too. Nobody was born with any health problem.
I know.
I'd like to have a scotch and a cigarette before I die. That would be my wish.
Okay, we can make that
A
happen.
scotch and a smoke. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you, Mom, for being my first guest on my podcast.
Oh,
Listen, I love you, and I appreciate you. You did a great job raising us. You're a true hero, and I appreciate everything you've been through to have us on this planet. I'm happy I was born, and I'm happy you're my mom.
Well, thanks for letting me be your guinea pig.
I'm sorry for the get emotional on the first episode.
Yeah, that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair.
But that means that.
Well,
it's something you're never going to get over.
I felt ambushed by that.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean I would never ambush you. I love you. These are questions I want to talk to. These are important things to me.
Toby, you could have talked to me about it many times.
I'm sorry. But Mom, I appreciate you coming and being my first guest, and
You're
thank you for having me.
welcome.
And you've been struggling since I was 3, but not anymore.
No, I'm too old to struggle.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
just going to be home with my cats.
But I
and
wanted to get the dates right
eating
on that.
sugar and watching Netflix.
And I'm not Native American whatsoever.
I wish you were, but no, you're not. Sorry. But you were 3, not 4.
Thank you.
Glad we got
Everybody listening, I thought like, oh my God, my first episode, I'm gonna tell the world that I got the date wrong, and the song's totally
but
different
you had
now.
to think about the month.
Yeah, I didn't know about the month. I didn't realize the month.
February, April.
But the date on my wrist is wrong.
What is wrong?
It's 73, and he really died in 74.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can fix that. I think you know a tattoo artist to do.
And Mom, would you ever get tattooed?
No. Well, I shouldn't say no.
Really, at 70, you get your first? I'll take you right now. I'll take your first fucking
I
tat.
might-
You name
I might
anybody you
have a
want, I got
moment.
you. You would never get.
I might have a moment, but that would be like agreeing with it. No, I might. I mean, I don't know.
At 70, you get your first tat. I'd be fucking
But
honored.
you know why I would get my
Get an
first,
H2O tat.
You know why I would get my first tattoo now? Because I
Come
don't
close.
give a shit. Because I look so. I mean, at this point, I don't give a shit.
If you could see my mom, she's so beautiful. She dyed her hair her whole life, and now she's letting all the gray come in. Looks fucking awesome. You look like your sister Paulette. She rocks it all gray. Super hippie from Colorado. Shout out to the Collins
Yeah,
family.
she's rocked it great for years and years.
Let's get your first tat. You can pick any artist you want. I got you.
If I get my first hat,
Neck tat.
Wait, nobody's gonna know about it till I get it.
H2O on your neck. Be sick.
Oh, that'll never happen. That'll never happen.
Okay, thank you guys for listening to my first episode, my first podcast.
And maybe his last.
You never know. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me to be kind. Thanks for sharing all your stories. It's been an emotional roller coaster, and I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be here with you right now,
just
talking to you.
Be kind, people. Be
kind. That's what my mom taught me. So I'm gonna play one more thing before we hang up too, and this is gonna make us emotional, Mom. But I just want to play it because for every guest I have and for everything I talk about it, I want to have something that represents something in that time. And this song came out after my dad died. Jim Croce, "Time in a Bottle."
Oh yeah.
And lyrically, it was
You know
so
what?
perfect.
Lyrically, I used to listen to that song all the time after your dad died.
How
It
soon?
was like that song was written for him.
How soon after you died this song came out?
Very, very not long.
So I remember
Months.
this song being played in the house.
All the time.
So this song is embedded in my memory because of you, and it came around the
and then
time
he
my dad died.
And he got killed.
Jim
Yeah.
Croce, ladies and gentlemen, "Time in a Bottle." That's
Yep.
it. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep. I did have girls, okay?
Shit.
One morning, he had a friend stay over, or he said, Mom,
You might have friends.
Ma, I'm going to have a friend stay over or whatever, and I must have gone to bed before the friend got there. I get up in the morning to make my coffee. The kitchen was smaller than this. There's somebody sitting at the table. When I tell you, he had a lion mane, a golden lion mane head. It was this big. He's sitting there, a kid. I'm like, who the hell are you? Oh, I'm Toby's friend. I stayed over. Scared the freaking crap out of me. I can remember calling you, Toby, get out here right now. Who is this?
Yeah, dreads, like big dreads.
No, it wasn't dreads. It was more like a lion mane. I can see him.
Who the
It's
fuck
just
was
a
that?
kid.
Yo, that's funny, man.
Oh my god.
Yes, I was very open-minded, yes.
Oh, you were, man.
I should have thrown that kid out on his ass.
The lion mane friend.
I come around the corner, it scared me shitless. I'm like, who the hell is this?
That is awesome.
Kitchen.
Oh my god, I don't know who the fuck that was. What year was that? Was it in
We
Maryland?
were in Maryland. I think it was at the period when you...
White kid?
Yes, white kid. When you must have had blonde hair. When you had your blonde hair phase, I think. Because you had dreads, too, for a while.
Bleach dreads, yeah. Yikes.
I never. Yeah, you don't have any pictures of that.
Yeah, I got one. I got some, sure.
Todd had long, well,
Long
he looked
locks.
like Adonis, like Thor, you know. Look
Look like Fabio. Look like Fabio and shit.
He
Pretty
really
face.
did. I mean, no word.
Fabio.
He had long, blonde hair for a long time. I can't understand how his hair got so dark. You know what I
We're
mean?
all dirty blondes.
He was blonde for a long time, into his 20s. He was really blonde like his dad. But then now his hair's so dark, I still can't figure out when that happened or how that happened.
That is weird.
Did his hair darken up
When
like
you get
that?
older? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, but he was blonde for a long time. But you did have some weird hairdos.
I had some crazy Liberty Spike, shade,
Did you
bleach,
have
dreads.
mohawk? You must
Fuck
have
yeah.
a mohawk.
Fuck yeah.
Must have. Between that and the tattoos, believe me, it was a lot to deal with as a mother. That I even admitted that he was my kid was a factor, depending on where we were. Okay. And his grandmother rolled over in her graves 100 times over that, and she loved him so much. But he had never gotten a letter from her until because she was.
She had great
so
handwriting too. I think I
upset
saw that the other day. I saw it.
yeah, she just had to write him because she was like, "Don't do
She's
this.
like, stop doing it. I was in New York.
Stop doing it."
Wow.
My grandma never.
So when he'd come home,
hid
then
everything from
when
her.
he'd come home, he'd make sure if he was going
Turn
to
around.
he was covered up. You know what I mean? Well, he didn't have it on his hand. Then he was covered up so that she didn't see any of that. Because she'd always ask you, "You got any more tattoos?" Or
Yeah.
he'd always say no. No, I don't.
My trick was, by the way, I recorded all that from that.
Great.
story.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.